If I could tell you where the real estate market on Oahu is going in 5 years, would you listen? Today, that's exactly what we're going to go over. Hi, my name is Evan Tom, a local realtor here on Oahu. I've helped over 100 clients with their real estate needs since 2017. Now, the goal of this channel is to share that education with you for your future success and a glimpse into what you can expect working with me. Now, this video is going to be broken down into 3 different sections. First one is going to be the last 5-year cycle. Before that, the last cycle, and lastly, what's next? Because the goal is to unpack the underlying shifts that many aren't seeing today. Now, what happened 5 years ago? For many, COVID marked the worst few years of their lives. And it certainly was the case here in Hawaii. We had one of the most restrictive lockdowns in the entire country, with COVID passports required to eat, COVID tests to fly, and nowhere was legal to be except in the ocean. But what happened to real estate? It sparked the biggest bull run on real estate prices in 2 decades. If you don't believe me, just look here. It's almost ridiculous to consider that in the span of 2 years, some homes increased 50% in price. I know this because I was working with clients during this time on both sides, seeing it happen in real time. Now, one buyer in particular was interested in a St. Louis listing. It was beautifully renovated, as you can see here. But was it worth $1.273 million? 37 offers later, it sold for over 1.6. The owner purchased only 3 years ago for $710,000, as you can see here. Wow. Here's another stat that reflects a change: the median sales price increase year over year. Now, the last time this happened was the lead up to the subprime mortgage crisis. Uh-oh. Or maybe not. Let's go over why. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, please like this video so others can find it just like you. Subscribe if you want to follow along. Now, back to the video. COVID was the single biggest demand driver for single-family homes ever. Never before was buying space away from others a life or death safety decision. Now, on top of that, how much time you spend at home increased tenfold. You now worked from home, you socialized at home, you ate at home, and your kids were educated at home. I made a video about it more in depth if you want to learn more here. Add on to it the lowest interest rates ever, stimulus checks, work from home, tech workers moving here, and it's a recipe for the short squeeze that happened. It was the first time in history that the single-family market and the condo market moved differently, because the factors that created the demand for single-family homes was the opposite for condos. There was no space. Everything was communal via elevators and shared amenities, and many transitioned from their condo into the single-family market. Tourism dried up, so for those that invested in condos, especially short-term rentals or Waikiki area condos, the value of their investments plummeted. Laws were passed where you couldn't evict tenants for non-payment for years. But it didn't mean that those condos lost value during this time, as you can see here. But it did show that real estate segments were no longer lock in step price-wise with each other. Now, prior to COVID, condo prices increased yearly about 5%, while single-family homes were under 4%. Now it's a completely different story. There are also specific market segments that have been impacted differently. Military purchase of homes are a large segment of specific area purchases, those being Ewa Beach, Wahiawa, Mililani, and Kapolei, due to military-based proximity and prices. What happens when the monthly cost to purchase is significantly more than their base housing allowance, and the market has trended sideways for years? What about first-time home buyers when they have to pay 50% more monthly to purchase versus renting? Or investors when they can't even break even buying an investment property? That's the starter condo segment. What about the luxury condo buyers when there's multiple new developments being built every year? That's the luxury condo segment in Kaka'ako. Now, despite all of that, prices haven't dropped since. In fact, it's simply been range bound since interest rates rose to its highest level, as you can see here. And if you watch my last video, I went over how the total real estate transaction volume went from 12,000 in 2021 to 7,000 the last 2 years, because both sides aren't transacting real estate unless there's a very good reason to. Now, what happened in the last cycle? What is a cycle and what was different then? Let's start with the definition. A real estate cycle is just a variance in the long-term trend that happens in phases due to human behavior and structural changes in the market. You can see it in this chart, starting in 2000 of prices recovering prior to all-time highs, to accelerated price growth with increased demand, to prices stalling, and then the crash. For the worst crisis in my generation, did you know that the crash here wasn't really a crash? It was just a sideways chop for 5 years. Interesting, isn't it? The last cycle happened for a few reasons. We're coming out of the 2000 tech bubble in a decreasing interest rate environment. It's really funny, actually, to imagine that the standard interest rates at the time was 8 to 9% and dropping to a very low 6% interest rate. But that bubble didn't really hit Hawaii because a lot of our industries popped up by a few industries: tourism, military, and local business, but not tech. This is one of those good to be behind the times. What also became super popular was the adjustable rate mortgages, with a really low teaser rate up front while lacking income verification. By the time 2008 rolled around, 80 to 90% of all loans underwritten were these types. In short, a significant increase in demand without much increase in supply. What that meant was prices just continued to move up aggressively. You can see it in the numbers, where everyone was making money buying anything for years until it stops, like every cycle does. Now that leads us to where we are today. Where are we in the cycle? Believe it or not, my opinion is we are literally finishing a cycle created as a result of COVID. We had the recovery in the mid-2010s, the accelerated growth after COVID, and the sideways chop in the last 3 years. The official end of a cycle, in my opinion, is when the market is starting to break prior highs in a positive trend upward. And if you looked at the stats from the last 3 years, what does that show? Does it not say exactly that? We are at the upper bound range of the last 3 years. Yet sentiment for the real estate market here on island has been the worst since I started. Because by the stats, it's literally the worst market since the subprime crisis by transaction volume. Listings are sitting with continued price reductions. Sellers are taking their property off the market because they can't sell. New development is stalling. But what are the fundamental changes happening in the market? And do sellers actually price their home to the market objectively, or what they want to sell it for? We're at the top end of interest rate hikes, with rates starting to actually come down. Inflation is cooling. And we're at the very start of how AI will change the world. And if I were to ask you the basics of investment, what would you say? Buy low, sell high? Where are we in the market? Are we in the low or are we in the high? When do you get your deals? And when can you negotiate in your favor? Is it when 37 offers come in and you need a home now? Or is it when you're ready, it makes sense, and you can get the same prices or a discount to buying 3 years ago? And what if you had the ability to lower your monthly payments every year while locking in your price now? So let's flip it on its head and think of ourselves as investors. I mean, isn't that why we buy real estate? What if I reminded you that historically, over the past 30 years, real estate prices here on island increased 5% year over year? That's combined after COVID. Now, if you're looking to be here long term, what does that mean? By the numbers, if you want a starter condo for $500,000 every year, you need to save $25,000 post-tax to be in the same position you were a year ago. The hardest part about making good financial decisions is that you need to flip your thinking to actually accomplish it, because how you feel and what you should do may never align, but aren't all hard decisions like that? Of course, this is not financial advice. If you want to continue the conversation, my information is below to set up a free consultation. If you want to see how understanding the market goes into putting together a successful listing, you'll want to check out this video.